allegiance to Okay, we'll do our roll call. We have myself and Dr. So here in the boardroom, and we have Ms. Weiser, Ms. Shumway, and Ms. Young on Zoom. So we do have a forum. Moving on to item 4, call of the audience. The board will listen to any comment from the public, but will not respond except as permitted by Arizona Revised Statutes 38-431-01. The board may refer the item to the administration or request to have it placed on a future agenda. We do not have any slips in front of me. We will call the audience. Okay. There you see none. We will move on. At 5. Reports, Dr. Okay. I have a board report. This past week we went to the legal and legislative update of SBA law conference, and it was really good as usual. The legislative update, the legal and legislative update, Wendy sent that to all the board members. Gives a really good rundown on the legislation that had taken place in the past year. Probably one of the most significant pieces of legislation is House Bill 2162, which has to do with parental rights. We also did there's some discussions on the ASBA policy updates. ASBA does a really good job putting out policies that are based upon legislation that was passed during the past year. You'll see a lot of that tonight. Another area that was talked about quite a bit was free speech. That is always an issue. We had quite a few sessions on that. Interestingly enough, they had a film that they showed that had won honors at the Sundance Film Award. It's called The Bad Kids. And it's working with continuation schools, disadvantaged students. And Dr. Dorner and I were kind of discussing that after the film was over. And I wish you would share some of your comments because I thought they were quite good.
President Jack, yes, I enjoyed the law conference as well. And the movie The Bad Kids depicted Red Rock High School in Mojave Desert, which has a similar demographic to us. And the high school that the documentary was based on was an alternative campus where students went to finish their high school degrees, and they were provided mentorship and individualized curriculum pathways. And there's a spunky principal that keeps everybody, aligned and interconnected. And all I could think throughout the entire film was that we're fortunate enough here in Kingman to have a very similar campus to Sandy McCoy Positive Alternative Campus, started by Sandy McCoy over 30 years ago now, has implemented nearly all, and in some cases more, strategies than we saw in this film. So it was really exciting to see kiddos have a place to go that had a curriculum that was customized, where everyone has a mentor that knows your life story and gets you on your pathway to high school graduation. So they may have won the Sundance Film Festival for documentaries, but we have that same model here in Kingman, and we're excited to always congratulate Jen Potter and her team for keeping that going.
Absolutely, thank you. Do we have any other board members that have a report tonight? None. We will item 6. Mr. Neal, Kathy, and or Carter, SSC will be in attendance to present.
He's going to introduce his team and talk about where we are midstream with this.
Good evening. Thanks for having me. Volume level, good. Right here. Okay, we'll go through a brief slideshow presentation for you all this evening, kind of go through what we've been through the first half of the year. This is your presentation. We'll be totally transparent and answer any questions you may have. Again, this is for you all just to show where we're at halfway through the year. Let's first talk about our people. The next couple of slides will highlight our support team. We have our CEO, Jerry Last, our VP is here this evening, myself, Bill McCarter. Bill, if you'll stand up. Most people here know Bill. He's our facilities director. And also we have Galen Niederheiser, who is our grounds manager, recent hire. Then Bill Klinger and Marcy Glassman, who couldn't be with us this evening, but they head up our POM and custodial teams. On the next slide, a few more important faces. Mark Calvi is one of our evening custodial directors. And then Tamara Crawford, who is here tonight. Tamara, will stand up. She is our CMMS computer. My mind is on blank, but it's our work order system, maintenance management system. So all the work orders come in from all the principals, all the requesters throughout the district, all the admins go through tomorrow. She sorts them, she assigns them to our different POM technicians or ground custodians. She makes sure that those get you people they need to go to, and then that the work is completed. So staffing to date, this is actually, I keep saying today, but June 30th is going to be this true half-year assessment. It's 66 current employees come over when we transitioned, including 44 transition associates, and then 24 non-transition, which is actually 68 or 66 now. For the 44 transition associates, by transition associates, we're talking about those people that were employed by KUSD before we began work January 1st. We still have 30 of those, which is a pretty good number. We've lost some of those throughout the school year based on your past numbers of retention. Some left for personal reasons. Happy to say a couple. That this is a good SSD story. We had one associate, transition associate, that called me, I don't know, mid-spring, late spring. She's like, when y'all came in during orientation, you said, y'all have jobs everywhere. I have to move to North Charleston, South Carolina. Do you have a job for me? And yes, what day do you want to start? We have a job for you. So items like that are a good advantage. And then we had a few, let me just be honest, that never bought into the program. They transitioned over. They weren't interested in transition. They probably wouldn't have lasted very long anyway. Gretchen, if you want to chime in, or
In some cases, it was a value added to the organization when people made personal decisions to go.
then we started off with 24 initial non-transition associates. We've had a lot higher turnover than that. We've probably gone through 40 different people to get to the 36 we're at now. A lot of that's common in custodial, where it's close to minimum wage, not minimum wage. There's a great deal of turnover. We're trying to dial that in. I think we're always going to have that 75–80% that is good. Here is our core people. It's that 20–25% that is difficult to keep staff. Overall, we should be at 72. We're currently at 66. That fluctuates by the day. In today's market, that's a very good number. Put that up against any other industry. So one of the big things we honed in on from get-go was safety. It's like, where can we make immediate improvements? We thought safety was one of those. Going by an APA score, which looks at all sorts of items, PPE, training, incidents. When we came in, safety was pretty poor, and that's not uncommon when you're understaffed. Maybe a lack of management. It's just making sure that those programs were in place. Items just like chemicals and gas being stored incorrectly, PPE not being worn, closets being disarray, items like oxygen or acetylene tanks not being anchored to walls. Just lots of items like that. So that was one of our initial assessments, one of the things that we worked on. Happy to say now, those 4 is the worst, 1 is the best. Grounds and POM were probably right at a 2 where we should be for an account like this, and expectations and budget. Custodial is probably 2.5. A lot of that just has to do, there's so many more custodians. There are 50 or so fully staffed, just making sure everyone is always doing exactly what they're supposed to do is a little bit more of a chore. For PUM and grounds, there's less people, more management, so it's easier to see that. It's always a struggle to make sure there's always every label, every bottle, everyone's always doing exactly what they're doing, but we've seen definite improvement in those. And the biggest thing in our first 6 months, and this is over 68,000 hours worked, we had 0 lost time incidents. That doesn't mean we didn't have any incidents, that there wasn't an accident, somebody didn't bump a car, bruise a finger, but as far as someone having to go on LOA or workman's comp or lose time, 0. I think that's something that everybody should be very proud of. Some of the things go into our training. February every year, we have our National Day of Safety. Just kind of hits home. Every account across the board is working on safety that day. We do things like what's important to you, why do you stay safe at work? We try to have poster boards that everyone brings in a picture. Some people want to say, I want to stay safe for my family. I want to stay safe so I can go fishing for my dogs at home. The important thing is everyone is focused on safety. Monthly safety training. We have a general topic that goes out to all 3 of our disciplines for custodial grounds and maintenance. And we'll go through some of those items here in a moment. But those are broken into 4 weekly topics, and we expect to have safety meetings with each of our teams every week. And we do document that, that's signed off on, it's sent to our HR team. And then it isn't really safety, but it goes hand in hand with it. It's something we train with our safety is diversity and inclusion. And again, it's just somewhere for people to talk, think about items, think about it. It can go into safety if someone has mental health issues or other items. If they don't feel safe and comfortable at work, then that's not a safe space for them. So that's something we're really trying to hammer on the last couple of years. Some of our general safety topics monthly, lockout, tag out, general safety, chemical safety, slips, trips, and falls, which is our biggest incident reporting throughout the company. Think about custodians and wet floors. That's what we really try to work on. You can see the others. One of the big ones we just did was active shooter. We try to do a different topic again every month that's relevant to education and safety in there.
Danielle, so
Yes, sir.
when you say safety topics, what is that? Does that involve like a meeting of the staff, or is it just an
Yes.
email that's sent out? Or
No, so I and all my directors, we get a email from HR every month, the first business day of the month. And again, it's broken into 4 weekly topics that tie all into one topic, like it was lockout, tag out. It breaks it into 4 different sections. And then the individual managers are supposed to meet with their crew at least once a week, have a safety meeting. And then everyone signs off on it. And then at the end of the month, that is sent into corporate. So we have a record that everyone was at least trained on that.
okay,
When we get into grounds and PUM, we'll talk a little bit more about their specific training. But it's something that is sent from corporate, and then it's supposed to be every person on every crew throughout the company is supposed to have a face-to-face interaction with their manager on that topic.
and that's every week.
Every week.
Okay,
I'm sure some weeks don't make it. The important thing is they get all 4 throughout the month, but that's the goal, is at least once a week, a safety meeting with our POM and grounds teams. We try to start every day off with a tailgate safety meeting. It's just a moment. So Safety First 365 is a program we've been doing for a couple of years. First year here, so everyone is active in this program or should be. We identified a few years ago that 45% of all of our incidents occurred with first year associates, people for 365 days. So we wanted to come up with a way to easily identify them. So everyone's supposed to have on their person a card that says where they're at in the process with their first 365 days. If someone has a red card, and we try to put these with their badges, or one of my duties is when I'm on site is to try to ask people for these, and it just lets me know, where are you? Are you new? Are you a little bit farther along? If someone has a red card, a supervisor, a lead, a manager, it's our duty to ask them, do you have your PPE? Have you been trained properly? Do you have all the things you need to do your job safely? After the first 90 days, you graduate to the yellow card, where, okay, we still need to check on you, but maybe you know a little bit more. And then the green card is, it's still your first year, but we should still check on you, but you should know all of our safety procedures, PPE, all of those items by now. This is an incentivized program for people that participate in it and keep up on it. at the end of every quarter. We're supposed to collect the cards, and then a name is supposed to be drawn, and then they get a monetary prize, a gift card or something like that. Talk a little bit about wages. One of the things we talked about with Kenny last year is that wages would definitely go up, and happy to say we've been able to do that. When we were looking at transitioning folks in December of last year, the average wage rate was $13.11. And this is for all three trades, so grounds, custodial, and UM. Immediately day one, as we talked about, everyone with that 50-cent raise go to $13.61. And over that first 90 days, we tried to evaluate and identify talent and see who was still there after 90 days and what new folks we got in. I'm happy to say today, our current wage rate is $15.79. A part of that is we don't have to pay into the ASRS system as KUSD did. So that's 12.2%. They're getting right on top of the bat. We do have 401k, other programs they can invest that in, but it's up to the individual. And they also, everyone after the first 30 days, have 65-cent raise to cover the insurance. So before they had free insurance with you all as a single payer, now they have the same with us. By that raise, if they wanted to use that 65 cents, that should cover a single person insurance for the month. Rates were pretty low when we actually took that. People like money in their pocket, and hopefully their spouses have benefits, but the wage rate is up, and that is definitely helping, I think, with retention and recruiting talent. I think we're more in line across the board, especially on some of the trades, HVAC, plumbing, even grounds was a little bit lower than industry standards. So I'm very happy to see that number where it is today. We'll dig into custodial a little bit. Some of the projects we've done before and after, you see some floor work here. There's still tons of floor work to be done. And then this summer was an absolute challenge. We went in at the beginning of the summer, we're trying to make every floor perfect. After years of not neglect, the daily work here has been good for a long time. I think it's just some of the deep cleaning, stripping, and waxing probably wasn't done as it should have been. And we went in gung-ho at the end of the summer and tried to do every floor perfect. And we got a little behind, and Gretchen and I talked about it, and she called us on it, so we didn't get to do every floor perfect this summer. We're trying to do throughout Fridays where there's no school, and the break to every floor to our standards and our shared expectations. But it's been a challenge, but we're definitely seeing improvement. And by doing it correctly over the summer, the ones that we were able to do, you'll see them last and shine longer, they'll last longer. It's be good for everybody in the end. Gretchen, do you have anything to add on?
Nope, it was a challenge, but I appreciate the collaboration and the transparent conversations and the plan going forward.
So some of the things we work on in custodial, duty list. Like I said, a lot of times we have subs or floaters. It's hard to be perfect on our duty list, but our duty list is kind of a snapshot of where everyone should be on a daily basis. It breaks the school down into sections. It says custodian A should be in hallway 100 from this time to this time. These are the classrooms they're working on. It's just a good game plan. If principals or directors, anyone gives you a good idea of where people should be when they're supposed to be. I'll tell you also, there's not a perfect day in custodial, so those don't always go to plan, but it is a game plan that we have one. And then again, just some direction. 10-step classroom cleaning when each custodian goes into a classroom. And granted, they miss stuff, but it says exactly what they should do in order to go in and empty the trash, clean the classroom, up to that, left to right, all the items you should do. They have a checklist, so they should be doing it. Again, we're not perfect. We're never going to be perfect, but at least it's something that our directors and our principals can go back to, say, this is what's supposed to be done. Why isn't it possibly something we done? How do we correct this? How do we teach? And then another item that has been a big struggle in the beginning. I think we've gotten better by the day, by the week, by the month. It's just communication. When we came in, how we directed staff, how problems got solved was different than the old system. And just getting everyone on the same page was difficult. We may hear one thing, Gretchen would hear one thing, and trying to figure out, are we really as good as we're hearing, or are we bad as Gretchen is hearing. It turns out we were somewhere in the middle, but by going through meetings and setting up weekly meetings with our director, Bill, and our custodial director, Marcy, Gretchen sits in on at least one of those meetings, probably more, just trying to have those open, honest conversations. So we're all hearing the same thing. We're able to solve problems that much more easily. Several principals in the room here. I hope everyone disagree. Don't say it tonight, tell me tomorrow. But anyway, the point is we're always trying to get more efficient and communicate better. And I have seen it get better. I hope it just keeps going better so it's seamless. So one of the things we started implementing more last couple of months, and it's called Cleantelligent. It's a web-based app that our directors have on their phones or tablets. And it's to go in and to inspect different areas in schools. They go in and it should be random. So you go into a Kingman Middle School and bathroom, it's a 100 hallway, all the geography, all the maps, all the schools, it's loaded program, so it's specific to the school. And it goes in and it takes out kind of perception of clean. It just asks, are the mirrors clean? Are the toilets clean? Is behind the toilets clean? Are the partitions clean? All these items, so it's check sheets. And the scoring is kind of weird. We're still kind of arguing between Cleantelligent about their scoring. Their scoring goes up to 160, which you all are educators. How do you get above 100? I don't know. Y'all can explain that to me, let me know. But the closer to 160, the closer you are to good. Each school's not the same. Some have more room for improvement. Again, there's no way we've inspected every classroom with this program at every school district. I mean, every school. So something we hope to get better at. The goal is each director is doing at least one a day. The next step, principals, is that they're pulling you guys out and y'all are walking schools and you're doing these together so that everyone's agreeing that yes, this was clean or no, this wasn't. Because we want to all be on the same page on that at all times. Next. Moving to grounds. So does anyone have questions on custodial before we go to grounds? Okay. A little bit about grounds. Of course, introduce Galen. Galen's new to us. He wasn't actually here for the first 6 months, but wanted to bring him here tonight and tell y'all that we do have a good grounds manager in place. Last few months have been challenging with all the rain, but just a little before and after, and still tons of work to do. But the top two pictures are at White Cliffs Middle School, getting a lot of grass to reestablish, and then I believe it was Bill's one Black Mountain, just some erosion problems, which I understand still isn't perfect, but it's better. Just some small examples of stuff we've been working on and continue to do more and more. Yes. So grounds, some of the things we work on to get better. Every week we have a weekly safety topic that comes out from one of our ground subject matter experts. It's very specific to grounds, and it can be pretty elaborate items or pretty simple items. As simple as how to fuel a mower, how to safely do that. Hopefully, they should be. Everyone should be wearing, safety goggles when they're dealing with fuel, anything. Hopefully, everyone sees our grounds people always wearing a vest or a bright yellow shirt so they're visible. We're starting to implement electric mowers that we have that I hope will help with not interrupting studies and testing. Hopefully we'll do more work when kids are there and not interrupt the actual educating that is going on. And also the thing that we've changed, and it's getting better. At first it was a hurdle. Instead of having one person in each school, we have teams that go around, specific teams for mowage, trim, specific teams for athletics, and specific teams for irrigation. And the main goal of that is that every school is consistent, that there's not this shining star school over here and everyone says, well, what's he do over there or she do over there? Why is it so much better than my school? The goal is that all the schools eventually feel that everyone looks the same. It's going to take a little more time to get there. Galen's going to be implemental in doing that, but I believe we're headed on the right track.
I don't know. I can't remember if you have a slide on weeds or weeding. Can you insert here if not?
No, I don't think we do. And I'll tell you, weeds have been a battle. There's lots of open ground here. There's lots of areas that don't have turf established. So, with a lot of hardscape areas, you don't have good standard turf.
weeds are always the first thing that'll take over. It's just a little windy here. I don't know if anyone's noticed that. Is it you telling me that you could leave here because of the wind? Yeah, that was some rumor. But it's a constant battle. And when we first came in last winter, we didn't know if things had been pre-emerged or anything had been done in the past. And then spring hits and the weeds hit. We hired an outside company to come in, spray all those out. And then we've been working to get our chemical license here in Arizona specific for human. We weren't able to do that before monsoon season. Monsoon season came and the weeds are up again. We've got a chemical contractor that's currently spraying the weeds. They started, and then more rain this week. I don't know when it's going to end this time, but they will finish that this round. And we have finalized getting our application into the state to have a license here on site. Once we do that, we should not get behind on the ongoing process. We're able to spray it at any time that we need to.
It's a curb appeal is real important with our schools. So we're glad that you're putting a good emphasis on that.
Absolutely.
Galen's good at stuff like that. So it's good.
Galen is, yes, sir. Then we'll move into maintenance. We call POM, Plants Operations Management. Some of the things we've worked on, items we identified right away. Roof repairs, we've been doing small patches. We've been working with Colleen in the district for SFB funds for big roof repairs. Every time it rains, Bill calls me and says, we've got new leaks we didn't know that were here or there. I think we have all the drains cleaned out, unclogged by now. We've done some small patches, but it's still a process to get all of those. But at least getting the estimates, getting those assessed is a good first step. Sewage repairs and KMS. We've restriped several parking lots. And then the big one, again, like I said, safety was our first emphasis, which is getting all the mechanical rooms cleaned up. If you had to go in there when the power is out and you didn't have a flashlight, you would have broke your neck. There was stuff everywhere, stuff that shouldn't be there, stuff blocking breaker boxes, electrical boxes, just a dangerous situation. So that was one of our first points of emphasis with POM is we can't do our job if we can't keep our people safe. So some of the things we work on POM to be more efficient. So in our work order system, the two biggest categories are corrective maintenance, which is reacting to a problem, something that is broken or actively needs help. That's a situation we don't like to be in. Or PMs, which is our preventative maintenance. And that is getting to those items before they break, before they fail. To do that by air filter changes, cleaning coils, all these different items that'll keep your equipment operating longer, more efficiently, and more cheaply. Next. So another way we stay efficient, and we talked about this when we were here last October, November, is tracking the man hours on POM versus the work orders and the hours that they log. So we're at 96% efficiency. And what I mean by that is all our POM guys and gals, they clock in every morning, they clock out for lunch, they clock back in, they clock out into the day. That's 8 hours. That 96% is based off what they actually tracked on their work orders. All of our POM folks have a smartphone that has their work order system in it. When they get a work order, they start it, they can pause it for lunch, whatever they need to do, they start it back, they're able to finish it. Tomorrow logs all this information at the end of the day, and it shows that for here for the first 6 months, out of 8 hours a day, we've actually been responsible and tracking everything for 96% of the time. Our company goal is 95%, which is a tough number to obtain. So I'm very happy with the 96. We're right where we should be. The first month, we kind of scared everybody into you have to be perfect, you have to log all your time. And I think we were fudging some numbers. The first month it was 100%. I was like, no, there's no way we're 100. So we've gotten a little bit better at that. And a little bit about our performance. So those work orders by type, you can see, and hopefully these numbers change over time. And Gretchen asked me today, and unfortunately we don't have it. Maybe we'll have it at year end just to show how we move from month to month. First year is always the worst, but if you look So far, we've had 1,400 corrective work orders and only 738 preventative. And also, we've been putting out fires. That's why you see 96% of those are closed out, where only 83% of the others are. Through time, as we fix these items, get ahead of them, those numbers should go down, and corrective should keep coming down, preventative should keep going up, and then overall, our price should come down. Now, that's what I mean by that is when we have a large ticket item, we have to come to Colleen and Gretchen and get permission to fix it. It's over the threshold of our contract. We want to eliminate those, and by doing more preventative and getting ahead of that, we can do that over time. I mean, so we try to track everything. So special request, routine, administrative, events, setups. We can even track, and we're getting better on our tracking time we spend in safety meetings. We're just trying to dial in every minute of everyone's day and show how we're using that to best serve the district. Next. So some of our team accomplishments, we've touched on some of them, is improved floor care, still a long way to go. Reseeding of some sports fields. We're going to do some major work at some sports fields, hopefully second half of this year or into next year. Then we get hit with stuff throughout the year. I was here 6 weeks ago and Lee Williams football field looked really good. And then band practice and monsoons. And I'm here 2 weeks ago and it looked really bad. So Gail and I talked about aerating and reseeding and the things we can get it, to look good again. Never ending. Soffits in Manzanita, which is done in July. Cold zone racks installed. Again, just some of the highlights we've done. Next. Some of our summer projects, again, this is one of the floors that was done well and completed. Looks really well. Some of the roof repairs, and then just mowing and edging, trying to get better at that. Goals for second half. Safety is always going to be our number one goal. Always. Then consistency is something Gretchen and I talk about all the time, is making sure we don't have any lapse on any of the improvements that we've made and continue to increase our communication, hone in on that, and again, just getting all our schools and services above our shared expectations. And then, as Mr. Jack said, first impression zones is what we call them, curb appeal. It's the first thing you see when you come to the school, whether it's a principal, teacher, student, parent, you should be proud of where you're at, and that's our goal. That's all I have for everyone this evening. Does anyone have any questions, comments, concerns?
I just had a couple of comments. Well, that is very impressive. I appreciate you coming. I know that when we were trying to decide if we were going to work with the SSC, that it was controversial for our district, but I really appreciate that when a problem comes up, that you own it, that you admit to not being perfect. And I think the communication has been great. One thing I've noticed too, that in the schools, your employees are always friendly and they have excellent customer service, at least with the times that I've interacted with them. And I just want to know, is there anything as a board that we could do to support you or that you would like to see to make you more successful?
On a board level, not on our end. Gretchen has been a great partner. I believe she and I work very well together. We chit chat and talk about our goals and expectations, but as a board, I mean, I know it was, your words, controversy coming in, but then I feel like, at least from our side, y'all have stayed at the board level and let us work through the problems and stuff. So it's been great.
Right. I also want to ask, with your lost time incidents, I think you call it, you had a 0 for that. Do you have any type of bonus structures or anything built in for those employees?
We really don't. We do have a program that I didn't talk about tonight, and I should have, called Great Employees Making Magic. It's called GEM, and it's kind of above and beyond. Safety's a part of that, but it's not the only asset of that. It's kind of like an employee of the month. And we've actually, Jerry and I were on a meeting last week talking about safety and incentives to get people to buy into the programs. That's something that may be coming, but currently we really don't. But that's a good idea.
And then my last question was, since you've been here a year now, do you have any recommendations as far as sports fields go? I know a lot of districts go to turf. Is that something you would recommend for us, or?
Gretchen will go and tell you, if you get me talking about sports fields, we can be here all night. Nobody wants to be that. So my background is turf management. That's what I did for 20 years before I got into the full service. It really is too much to delve into right now. I'm a purist. I prefer natural turf. And I think if you dedicate the money and staff to it, you can have just as good of a field. You get into some unforeseen problems when you get into an artificial turf.
Mhm.
I'm happy to come to a committee meeting or whatever to really dig deep on that at any time.
Thank you.
Any other board comments? Thank you very
All
much.
right. Thank you all. Thank you, Gretchen.
Move on to item number 7, approval of routine orders of business. Documentation concerning the matters on the consent agenda may be at the Keene Fire District Office 3033. Any board member may request an item to be pulled off the agenda for further discussion. Do you have any board member that wishes to pull an item off?
I just had a question for Wendy. I forgot to call her. On item G, you had Lee Williams listed that we were to approve their school fundraisers, but I didn't see those in there and I may have missed it. Are they in there? It had the donations, but not the fundraisers. I just want to make sure we approved it if it's supposed to be there. They're in there? Okay, maybe I missed it. Sorry. No, if it's in there, I just missed it.
Okay, looking for a motion on routine orders of business.
Motion to approve?
Roger, I can't hear you.
Dr. Lucero, looking for a second.
Roger, is your microphone on?
Yes.
I can't hear you.
Or do you want this one, Roger?
Does that work better? Ms. Shumway or Ms. Weiser or Ms.
No, still can't hear you.
Just so close to the microphone.
Okay, how's that? Is that better on the placement or not? Okay, we're gonna switch mics. How's this?
That's good.
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Looking for a second for routine orders of business.
I'll second.
Got a second by Ms. Young. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item 8. We have the second reading, change in policy, ASBA Policy Service Advisory.
Mr. President, members of the board, this is the second reading of what we would consider Jake's Law. It's a grant for schools to refer students who are underinsured or have no insurance for health care. And if we have policy in place, then that.
Do the board's members have any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve item 8.
Got a motion by Dr. Lucero, looking for a second.
Second.
Second by,
Shumway.
oh, thank you, Ms. Shumway. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item number 9, it's a first reading, change in policy, ASBA Policy Services Advisory.
Mr. President, members of the board, this is the first reading of a long list of policies that were created after the summer's legislative session and some new statutory requirements. I can go over them all for you or just let you peruse them and read them for this first reading and then have any questions for the second reading.
Any board members' questions on the policies? Okay, thank you. Move on to item 10. Approve recommendation to renew district RFP 21-10-26. Award for hardware and small tools with Kingman True Value for the FY23, which is year 3 of a 5-year award.
Mr. President, members of the board, we as a district use True Value to provide walk-in services for purchasing supplies. Schools often shop at True Value for paint and supplies, nails, and basic tools for the little projects that don't require a work order through maintenance. As of January 22, the yearly spent average went down significantly with the brought on by SSC and their maintenance and custodial portion. Last year for FY22, we spent less than $20,000. So we're looking to approve the 3rd year of our 5-year award.
Okay, thank you. Any board member comments or questions?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I have a motion by Dr. Lucero to approve. Looking for a second.
I'll second.
Got a second by
Mrs. Young.
Carol.
Okay, Ms. Young. Okay, thanks. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item 11. Book on display for the required 60 days beginning September 13th, 2022.
Mr. President, members of the board, this book needs to be on display for the next 60 days. It'll be used at the middle school level and it supports our equitable and accessible learning for our strategic plan.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to item 12. Possible action to non-renew the employment of Sean Douglas for the 2023-24 school year for reasons stated in a letter to the employee and in the confidential memo to the governing board.
Mr. President and members of the board, for reasons stated in the confidential memorandum to the governing board, staff recommends non-renewal of Sean Douglas's employment contract for the 2023-24 school year and recommends the board authorize the superintendent to send a letter to the employee notifying him of the non-renewal.
Okay, any questions or comments by any board members? Okay, we'll need a motion then.
I'll make a motion that the employment contract of Sean Douglas not be renewed for the 2023-2024 school year, and that the board authorized Dr. Dorner to provide notice of non-renewal on behalf of the board to Mr. Douglas.
Thank you. Looking for a second.
Second, this is Shumway.
Got a second by Ms. Shumway. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Item 13, approved donations. Any comments from any of the board members?
I was waiting for Beth. She always likes to do that.
Ms. Weiser, you normally do that?
Ms.
Oh, she's
Weiser
not
isn't
on there?
here.
Oh, okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the listed donations with our gratitude from the board.
Looking for
I
a
will
second.
second. I'll second, Carol.
Got a second by Ms. Young. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And that moves us to item 14, adjourn. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved. Okay, we are adjourned.